Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hiba and I'm a fourth year medical student studying at the University of Manchester. In this video, I'm going to be showing you my bag that I take to hospital placements and everything that I keep inside it. I thought it would be a nice change to just sit down and do a different style of video rather than me just sitting down and giving you information about a certain topic. I got the idea to do this video from another medical student who also makes YouTube videos called Laraib Chowdhury. She also makes great YouTube videos about life as a medical student, so check out her channel if you're interested. Before we get into it, can I please ask that you like this video and also subscribe to my channel, as it really helps me out and it helps me to carry on making videos like this one. So this is the bag that I take to my clinical placements. It's one of the Kanken backpacks. I've always used these Kanken backpacks since I started university. They're so helpful. They have so many different compartments and I think they're just really well designed and really easy to carry. So to start off with, I'll just show you what I have in the side pockets on either side. So on this side I have an umbrella. This is essential because I live in Manchester and it rains so much here. If you are coming to study at Manchester, or if you're an international student coming to study in the UK, I highly recommend you always have an umbrella in your bag, because honestly it can just rain anywhere at any time. So in the other side pocket I always carry a water bottle. I know some people don't like drinking water that much, but honestly, if you're going to be going on your hospital placements, always have some water in your bag. This is because you're going to be stood up all day. You don't really get a chance to sit down, even if you're not doing anything. It can get really hot and humid on the wards, and I've almost passed out a few times. I don't usually eat or drink anything before I go to hospital because I'm one of those people who would rather sleep 5 more minutes than get something to eat. And I also just have really low blood pressure for some weird reasons. So I find that whenever I'm stood up for prolonged periods of time, I just start to feel really dizzy, and a lot of medical students say the same. So I always just keep a water bottle with me and make sure I take a few sips whenever I can. Really annoyingly, I always have to use these plastic bottles. Even though I have a huge collection of really pretty reusable water bottles, I find that whenever I've washed them a few times, they start to make the water taste weird. I don't know if that's just me or if other people notice that too. I do always make sure to recycle these though. So now I'm going to show you what I have in this small front pocket here. So the first thing I have here is my purse. I just keep my license in here because I drive to hospital, and a few other things, and just some spare change. All the things one would normally keep in a purse. I then have some of my ID cards for hospital. I have a few different ID cards depending on which hospital I'm at. Usually you will get a different one for each hospital you go to. Then in here I also have some Vaseline, and I also have some bobby pins. You never know when you're going to need a bobby pin. So that's it for that front compartment. Now I'm going to open the main part of the bag and show you what's inside here. So the first thing you'll see when you open my bag are my hospital scrubs. These are the scrubs that are given to us by the university, and all the medical students have the same uniform. These are a fresh pair that I've just washed and put in here. So when I've just washed them, I'll just put them in my bag like this, but I also have a small bag which I also keep in my bag to put dirty scrubs in once I've worn them in hospital once. Once I've worn them in the hospital, I'll change out of them before I leave, and then I'll put them in this bag, and then they're ready for the washing. We have to change into our scrubs when we get to hospital and change out of them before we leave for obvious hygiene reasons. So the next thing that I always keep in my bag is my iPad that is given to us by the medical school. You may know from watching my other videos that Manchester Medical School will give you an iPad in your 3rd year. You have to take this to hospital with you because you do a lot of your work and sign-offs on here, and it's basically given for the purpose of using it in hospital. They gave us the iPad Mini 5, but I think they do change which iPad they give you depending on the year. Even though it's an iPad Mini, you can see that it's a nice size and you can keep it when you leave medical school as well. The next thing I have in my bag is the Littmann 3 Classic stethoscope. I got this in my 1st year of medical school just because I was excited about being a medical student, but you don't actually need it until the 3rd year, to be honest. I don't actually have a case for my stethoscope, so I just keep it in my bag like this, which I'm not meant to be doing. So hopefully I'll get a case for it at some point in the near future. I've also got my name engraved on it, which is something that you can do on the Littmann Classic website. So the next thing that I have in my bag is a notebook. I always keep a notebook in my bag just to write anything that I might need to, scribble down any notes. Ariel is my favorite Disney character, so this is why I chose this one. So So that's just a plain notebook that I'll always have in my bag if I need to write any notes down really quickly. But I'll also always have my student doctor clinical placement notebook, which I did a whole video on, so if you want to know more about it, you can check out that video. But this is the notebook that I'll use to write down all my histories. It's a really handy notebook, and it's helped me loads in my exams. I do really well in my history taking exams just because of this book, but I've gone in more detail about that in my video that I've specifically done on this book, so you can watch that if you want more information. Also, just so you know this video is genuine, I also always have some random scrap pieces of paper that end up in my bag just when I've written random things down on pieces of paper and then kept them just to go back to them at a later date. Usually I'll never actually even go back to them, they'll just accumulate in my bag. Next in my bag I have some hand creams. So hand creams are an absolute essential if you're in hospital because you have to wash your hands religiously all the time. You have to wash your hands when you enter a ward, you have to wash a hand when you leave the ward, you have to wash your hands after you've already washed them after entering the ward, but also when you get to the patient's bed. And then you also have to wash your hands after you're done talking with the patient and you're leaving the patient's bed, even if you haven't touched anything at all. It's just infection control policy, so it makes your hands really dry. Sometimes hospital staff can get dermatitis and other kind of skin irritations just after washing their hands so many times and then rubbing them with paper towels so many times to dry them. So I always keep some hand cream in my bag that I can put on after I've done washing my hands that many times, and I recommend that you do too. I know it looks like there's nothing in my bag, but actually everything's just sunk to the bottom. So in my bag I'll always have my pencil case, but to be honest, you actually don't really need a full pencil case to take when you're going to hospital. You only really need a couple of pens and a pencil maybe. Obviously you should have a pencil case to keep all your supplies in to revise and kind of make notes and things like that, but you can actually just keep them at home because you're not really going to be doing any of that whilst you're in hospital. You only really need to take a pen to take your histories. To be fair, my pencil case is only really filled with black pens anyway, so I think that's why I have it in my bag. The next thing I have in my bag are my keys to my flat. Then I have my Oxford Handbook of Clinical Medicine. This is a really handy book. It has basically every disease in here. So if you come across a patient and you want to find out what's going on with them or how you would manage them or look up anything about the condition, you can do that quickly in this book. Also, often on the wards, the doctors will kind of quiz you a little bit, or they'll tell you that I'm going to go see this patient and when I come back we'll discuss this condition. So I like to quickly read up about it to make sure I don't look like an idiot in front of the doctor. But being really honest with you, there are many days where I actually will take this out of my bag. Even though it is quite small, it is for its size quite heavy, and especially if I'm taking my laptop in that day, I'll take this out. Also, if I know I'm not going to be really having any sessions where I might need this, I'll just take it out of my bag. So we're now down to the last few things. I do keep some tissues in my bag just in case, but you'll find that in hospital you don't actually really need to take your own tissues because there'll be tissues everywhere, but still I always keep some in my bag. I always carry some paracetamol or ibuprofen just in case I'm not feeling well and I end up needing it, because believe it or not, even though you're in a hospital surrounded by medications, if you're not feeling well you don't have access to any of the medications, you just have to buy your own, so it's always handy to have some in your bag. And then finally, just the last thing that I have in my bag is a small pack of post-it notes, which I find can just be really helpful to write small things down. I actually use these most often for when we have to park in one of the hospital parkings. And for medical students, parking is usually free, but you have to write a note and keep it on like under your windscreen. So I usually use these a lot for that purpose. I just write medical student and say I'm in neurology at that point in time. So I just write medical student neurology and then put this in my car in the front window so that I don't get a parking ticket. But that's it for this video, guys. That is what was in my bag. You don't really need to take too much with you on clinical placements. You'll find that a lot of these things are optional. I wouldn't take a lot of the things that in first and second year you might think you need. So things like files and folders and like huge big project books or big exercise books or anything like that. A lot of those revision studying type things you don't actually need to take along with you. You do all of that at home in your own time. You're not really going to get a chance to do that in a hospital. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel as well. It really helps me out. If you have any suggestions of what you'll like to see in the future, then please let me know in the comments. Any video ideas are always very much appreciated. I've recently had some people asking how they can contact me or ask me a question. I'd say the quickest way to reach me is to leave a comment on any of my YouTube videos because I always read all the comments and I'll always reply to them as soon as possible. possible. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.